everyone. I'm so excited to welcome us back to today to the, we're kind of doing an emotional day today, talking about all the things that we need to do on the emotional side while we're trying to conceive. So our official theme is Don't Bury Your Emotions, Tips for Emotional Health and Maintaining a Strong Relationship while trying to conceive. And we all know that trying to conceive can be really stressful. It's hard on our heart. It's hard on our relationships. And so I think that this is a point that often doesn't get covered when you're talking to medical doctors and trying to understand the body and the biological side. There's definitely a very emotional component to this, and people just kind of buck up their chins and say, I'm just going to power through it. And there's actually a lot that you can do to take care of your heart and to take care of your relationship and to keep you and your partner on the same page while you're going through this, because there's a lot that can kind of tear you apart. And so today we're just talking to a whole bunch of experts who are going to share just great wisdom that they've learned from talking to couples and doing coaching and various things, and they've really gathered a great deal of knowledge about how to help in this particular circumstance. So I'm so excited to have Kristen Darcy with me, who I've met her I think 4 years ago now, and she's just a jewel in my life, and I love her.
Aww, I love you.
We're yin and yang. I'm the biology side, and she's the heart side. And Kristen is a very well-known author who's written a ton about the emotional side of dealing with infertility. And in addition to being an author, Kristen offers coaching services to individuals who are challenged with fertility, and she works with clinics to help them provide emotional support more effectively. She's really a beacon of light to help people cope with and understand and find new mechanisms for helping their hearts through this journey. She speaks at workshops and conferences around the country, and she's been highlighted in a few national publications like the Today Show and Women's World and PBS Health Week and the Boston Globe. So she's really recognized and established as a thought leader in this space of trying to understand and deal with the emotional side of infertility. So thanks for joining me, partner.
Oh, my partner in crime, but what a great crime. So Sarah, I just want to remind everyone, so 3 years ago, you were busy trying to get FDA funding and doing all those amazing scientific things. And I called you, I think it was after that I felt so badly about not being able to support that male client in the way that I felt I should be doing. And I called you and I'm like, hey, let's do a summit. Let's talk about this guy stuff. And, we're still passionate about this, of bringing awareness and screaming from the rooftops about it. And I just thought it was really important to incorporate, when it's not you, when you're in a partnership or a marriage or a relationship and you're trying to conceive and you go and there's an issue and it's not you, what do you do? I remember personally way back when I found out that was male infertility, I was like awfulizing it and saying, I wish it was me, because it was so difficult for me to bear witness to this, to my partner at the time going through this and feeling those feelings that, have been echoed throughout, my professional privilege of interacting with other couples and women and men, which are shame and worthiness and disappointment and grief and all those emotions and fear. And it basically goes down to fear, what's going to happen? What am I less than? Am I less than a wife, or if I'm less than a husband? And so I've had the privilege of kind of walking both lines, seeing a man receive the personally and professionally seeing the diagnosis, but then seeing women, witness this information for their partner, for their, and it could be a male-male partnership too. And so what I wanted to do, just briefly talk about what you can do when it's not you. And I was just in conversation, and I think the first thing that's so important, and there's scientific chemical reactions that happen about it, is that the more we try to stuff it away, the more we try to disallow those feelings to come to the surface and be, out of the shadow, the more the body is trying to get that out. And, that's the head and the heart. The more you try to not acknowledge those feelings of loss or the feelings of sadness or the feelings of fear, the more the body is going to make you try to look at it. And ultimately, if they're not looked at, you can have physical consequences greater than male infertility or female infertility. So I want to talk about 2 strategies that you can do right away. And that is really taking responsibility. The first one is taking responsibility for your own emotional resilience and your own emotional health. And that takes someone who's willing to, you and I had conversations about being willing to make the changes, being willing to look at your day and make a change that can be incorporated in to improve your sperm count or improve your health, overall health. And I'm asking the same thing, to make the commitment to get to know yourself and do your own inner work and look at the fears. And that's stinky, that is stinky hard work. But if you do that, that carryover effect is amazing. I have to tell a story about, I was having an in-group session. God bless you, my friend. I was having an in-group session, coaching session, and within that group, the majority of women were there because there was male factor. And what I can say is that the unconditional love that they were feeling for their partner and how they were speaking about their partner was profound. It felt to me like a spiritual love, if you can do that. And so how do you convey that to the other person? How do you make sure that other person knows, your true love for them, if you will? And I think one of the tips I was just sharing last week with a few clients that kind of came out of mothballs was really just to take a regular notebook. I love these notebooks. Remember these notebooks when we were in school? The composition notebooks. You can get them at Target, I think like 25 cents. But just taking one and, jotting down compliments, a daily compliment back and forth to each other. Or if it's not, giving and receiving, just one compliment a day to each other. And you and I were talking about this during your session about how technology, how there isn't that personal interaction. There isn't that touch. We're connected through the screen like you and I are. You're across the country and I'm over here, but I still feel that with you. But what is so powerful when under stress, when in fight or flight? God bless you again.
I know.
You write down. Physically take a pen and write down. You're triggering both sides of the brain. Sarah, you know this better than me, the chemical reaction that happens when you write something down. It bridges the brain chemistry from the right hemisphere to the left through that fight or flight area, and it acts as a calming effect. So I know I'm babbling, but that was one of my first tips, is really create a way that you are reinforcing within you to calm your fight or flight, but also reinforcing that unconditional love that you have for your partner. I can promise you that everything will work out, but the communication, the internal communication, external communication are the profound keys needed for emotional resilience. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that echoes exactly what Jonathan Bolt had written that article.
Yes.
Summit, and you look at one of his tips in there was find gratitude for all of the emails and the text messages that your wife is going to send you, and find a space to receive them and to be sincere. And I, you know, I think that like that's the same kind of thing. Like that's a digital version of it, which you know, today's world is digital. But to say, look, I'm going to actually read this message that you sent to me, and I'm going to actually respond to it authentically, you know, fully engage, rather than just dismissing, like, oh, you're still texting me. Like,
Right.
you're still texting me because you need me.
Right.
Have
Well,
some.
you know, but there's also the other flip part. You're still texting and having to talk about it and seeking outside soothing, because you're not looking at what you need at the moment. And that's still like a little fight or flight. Don't get me wrong, man, because I'm a texting kind of girl, and I know it. And I think the other tip that I talk about, which is so profound in love and infertility, is you need to schedule time each day to talk about it for 15 minutes, which is so profound that John Gray talks about it, you know, the duck and dodge, that you schedule 15 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day that you say to your spouse, I'm just going to talk about it right now, because that will quiet that part too. And that's taking care of your inner needs. It's not saying you can't talk about it. It's not saying I'm going to shut you down. It's not saying you're bothersome. It's I'm making an appointment with you and me for today to talk about it. And you don't have to do that all the rest of your life. It's just when you're in crisis. And this is a crisis. It's a mind, body, soul, spiritual crisis. And the more you shine your own mirror, Ram Dass has a book of that. And when I was studying about 4 or 5 years ago, you know, what does that mean to shine your own mirror, right? It is to look at your reflection and what are you reflecting out to your partner, because brain chemistry, there's clinical brain chemistry that we mirror neutrons. We mirror back to each other what the other person's doing when you're intimately connected. So what you send out gets mirrored back to you. And so when you shine your own mirror and look at yourself and say, you know, what do I need today? What do I feel? Well, I'm feeling lousy. I'm feeling sad. And you know what? That's going to change. Every morning, you know, if you take a moment, like we talked with, you know, with your, when we were chatting about your tips of overall health, you know, take that moment when you wake up and you dangle your feet over your bed and just say thank you. And you know what? That is sending a wave out that you're going to be grateful for today, and it's going to mirror back to you. So infertility is something that changes you, something that you'll carry with you. And if you can, in your mind, think of it as a learning lesson. You know, like, what am I going to learn about myself today? And what am I going to learn about my partner today? And what that does is it diffuses it, that it's not you and it's not me, it's us. And we're doing this learning together. And you know what? Sometimes in school, if you go back to school, sometimes you like ace an exam and you have a great day. And sometimes, you know, you need to study more. And so if we take this fertility challenge as a learning, and you learn about yourself, you learn about what you need and what you feel and what you need when you're feeling a certain way, you're going to move through this in a way that you're going to be empowered at the other end. And it stinks some days. Some days it's just stinky, you know, and you have losses, but there's little victories to celebrate too. So I think the tips that we talked about was really like doing your own work, managing your own stuff. You know, when you're triggered, acknowledge you're triggered, and what can you do as a responsible partner to take care of yourself? And then what do you want to have mirrored back to you? And just be aware of that. You know, I even say in my house, okay, I'm triggered. I'm triggered. And my kids are like, oh God, you know, but it's, and if you have to do that, you have to do that. But, you know, you can ask yourself those two questions that I talk about all the time, Sarah. I feel what, I need what. And if you don't know how you're feeling, and if you don't know what you need, you can't expect a partner or a friend or someone else to be able to fill that need. So you shine your own mirror by getting comfortable with the good, cool stuff and getting comfortable with the heavy shadow emotions. So when it's not you, it's still you. If you know, it's still about you and you taking care of yourself.
Well, that's a good ending note right there.
It's still you. So anyways, for the goodie, we really didn't talk about goodie bags, but I am going to offer Everyday Certainty again as a download. So after you read this, you know, I have a system that can help you do your own work, take care of your own stuff. And like you and I talked about, that carryover effect, not only for you, for your mind, body, and soul, but for your partner and for people you work with. Self-care is something that we weren't taught when we were little, you know, and especially women, you know, we look at that as being selfish. There's something amazingly powerful when you connect to your heart, when you know what you need, when you know what service you are, and when you feel that worth. When you feel your self-worth, it's powerful. So nothing outside can you know, hit you off your foundation. So there we go.
There we go. That sounds great. Get it. Download Everyday Certainty it's in our toolbox.
It's gonna be in the toolbox. Woo!
Do that toolbox.
Yeah. All right, my friend. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Yeah, thank you, and keep joining us to learn more and to continue to be inspired by this amazing woman right here.
Well, we have John Gray coming up, Mark Sadaka, Tamara Green, Bill Peacock, Richard from Reimagine It, Mark Sklar. These are our partners in crime. Boy, if you are feeling that you need help, we have help and so many amazing experts. So keep watching, keep learning. God bless.
God bless.
Bye.
Bye.